Good morning. Another day of wood burning on the Redhead drake head. Now when you look at where I have worked, you can see that it's a darker brown, and it goes all the way from here across the back of the top of the head there, and then down along the cheeks. I mean, it's like considerably different color, and that's because I've gone in and split so many things up. So I'm going to continue to do that. And hunt down those grain lines. As I get closer to the end of the wood burning step, I start to think about painting and my favorite step. And so I thought today I might talk a little bit about oil paint and why I like to use it, and the best ways of using it. First of all, it's important to buy quality products. I've mentioned this before, and there's a lot of quality oil paints out there these days, and Golden is a good one, and Holbein. Grumbacher's Finest used to be the favorite of mine and many of the other carvers, and the reason we liked it so much is because it was very strong pigment. It didn't take very much to attain the color, the vibrance in the color. And of course, the fewer coats of paint that you put on, the less detail is going to get filled in. So when you're looking at the paint and considering different paints to buy, if they're expensive, it's probably because they are a better made oil paint, and you'll have a better time of coverage if you spend the extra money and buy a quality brand of paints and mediums and brushes. There's another subject that I'll touch on, not today, probably more when we're painting, so I have the example in front of me. But my point is, with all this time put into something, is this actually when you want to go the cheap route? You know, you might as well get the good stuff. It's always been my philosophy that I would much rather spend time saving up my money for a quality tool or product or item instead of having to buy 5 cheap ones. I end up with one really good tool or item that I can get to know. I mean, for instance, my Delta bandsaw. Bought it years ago after using a jet that was probably not put together very well. But it was truly dangerous to use. And I said, no way am I ever going to buy a jet. And spent the big bucks, saved up my money, but spent the big bucks and bought the Delta bandsaw with the riser giving me, 14 inches in height. And it's worked like a dream since think about this, 1985. So, and I do feel safe using it, not like the jet. Now, with that said, that was that many years ago. I've seen some jets at Woodcraft that are pretty nice looking, and I think they've upped their game over the years, and it isn't a Taiwanese piece of crap that it was when I was using a friend's for a while. So I don't want to diss Jet brand now. All I know is back then they did not have the same quality. And I haven't used them. I've only seen them. I've not seen them being used either, so it could be the same deal, but the quality I was seeing pretty much tells me that they've upped their game and quality of their product. So it's hard when you don't have any oil paints and you're doing it for the first time, because you not only have to buy the paint, you also have to buy the brushes, and they can be quite expensive when you're using the Kolinsky Sables, which are preferred by most of us who have an opinion. I love the Raphael rounds. I think it's the 8401s. And but they're like, if you find a good deal, they're $25 a piece or more. 26 I think I paid at World in 2017. Worth every penny, and they do wear down, so you use them accordingly when you start out with your brand new fine pointed Raphael round, and you can do the most ultimate split detail, fine feather detail around bills, and then what happens is, it's sable. They're Kolinsky sables, and they wear down, and the point wears down, but their usefulness doesn't wear down. It's just, it gets changed over to a different job. So instead of doing the fine detail splits, maybe now I can use that worn down point to outline feathers on a smoothie, or apply the rounder dots. You try a point, try to make dots like on a loon with a really pointy brush. Doesn't work out very well. But when that pointy brush wears down, the rounded nature that happens is very useful in painting spots, like the white spots on a loon, or the dots more than anything. I like to use a filbert shaped brush in the Kolinsky Sables. It's the B6801, I believe. And I have them all listed in my Amazon list of things that I use in carving, tools and products. But the reason I like them is, you know, with a one stroke and the right consistency of paint, you get a feather shape. Because of the way they're shaped, you'll have to go and take a look at filbert shaped brushes. So for decorative smoothies, they work out well, and for decoratives, they work very well for shading, and after they start wearing down, just like the rounds, they also become brushes that you can apply base coats with, and maybe even lay in some shading and highlights, even after they don't have that feathery outer edge left on them any longer. And I've never thrown away, in 30 years, I've bought many of those brushes, and I've never thrown one away. They just are assigned a different job to do after they get worn down. Seeing some evidence of a grain line here. I'm going to just quick catch some of these up because I can see them as I look from the bottom. I don't know if you can. I don't know if the right light is going to hit so that you can see them. But I can't see them when I look straight on like this, but when I look from below, that's where I'm seeing them. So I'm going to just quick go in and split some of them up so they're not predominant. Sometimes it only just takes a couple of strokes across that grain line to make it disappear. Looks pretty good. Oh, right here. Pesky grain lines. It's nice to take control over them. No big surprises. Okay, so let's get back to turn it up just a titch so I can start getting into these crevices. Pulling the tip all the way through the feather clump is important so you can end it. The feather barbs. the clump itself. Kind of hard to get into this area here. I'll come back. I'll come back to that. Okay, so let's finish. And you can see that I'm going in and finishing off that split between the feather clumps with my tool. And as I look at it downward, I can see more grain line. So I'm going to go in and split that up a little bit more. There we go. Alright. I can see more grain lines on the back of the head, and that's not uncommon. There's also grain lines in the bill that'll be sanded away before it actually gets sealed for paint. But I haven't done a second pass on the back of the head, and when you're working with the end grain that you'd find in the back of the head or the front of the head, a little bit more diligence is required in those grain lines being hunted down and split out so that they don't show. Going in and getting the underside and the top side of these feather clumps. Just in doing that, actually gets rid of a lot of the grain line that wants to show through. Coming up to 19 minutes on my video here, so it's going to cut out. I'm hoping today that I can get through the head feathers, and then tomorrow I'll start on the breast.